So I'm on my way to Yamato Saidaiji. That's the location of where Prime Minister Abe was shot last week, 2 Fridays ago. I saw many people on the news were going. I don't know really what to expect, but I thought I should just go and take a look and see if I can pay my respects. So Yamato Saidaiji is on the Kintetsu line. I decided to try and make the pilgrimage. It's the location that he was killed. Very, very tragic and sad. It is a holiday in Japan. It's Umi no Hi, or I think Ocean Day, or the day to celebrate the ocean and the environment, I think. So I thought since I had this day off that I should make use of it. Former Prime Minister Abe had his share of scandals and problems, but overall what I see as far as the image and what he did for Japan is huge. And if it weren't for him, Japan's brand and image would not be very good now. So that much I have to attribute to former Prime Minister Abe, that he really helped Japan become a big player in the world. Now his Abenomics, his plan to stimulate Japan's economy, didn't do very well. Tourism did well, but other sectors really didn't. And the reculturing and the idea to make changes with the bureaucracy and how the organizations are set up, that didn't work at all. I don't know if anybody can change Japan's institutionalized culture that it has. Almost impossible, I would say. So I just parked my bike and I'm heading off to Kintetsu Station, Shintanabe. Get on the train and head south toward Nara. I think it's maybe 2 or 3 Kyuko stops from here. I'm actually between Kyoto City and Nara City, kind of like right in the middle, really close to the border of Nara. So from here to Yamato Saidaiji, it's not that far. Poor Yamato Saidaiji, forever, for eternity, they will be marked as the station or the location of where former Prime Minister Abe got shot and assassinated. It's really sad. That's not the kind of branding that you ever want, right? And Nara also will be marked as a prefecture where Prime Minister Abe got killed. And the person who killed former Prime Minister Abe was also from Nara, so that doesn't help either, right? I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm just going to go and take a look, say my prayers and pay my respects. So I'm gonna get on the Kyuko at 11:04 and head to Yamato Saidaiji. Yamato Saidaiji is where the Kintetsu line comes through, and it's like a hub where trains go out to Osaka, Kyoto, and Kobe from here. But it's still very rural in a sense. I didn't know what to expect. I got to the window to overlook the area where Prime Minister Abe had gotten shot, and I had seen people lined up taking photos, and then I saw it. So from the second floor of Yamato Saidaiji, this is the shot that I got, and there I could see the white guardrails, which is about 50 square meters wide, and that's where Prime Minister Abe was standing and he was shot. You can see the people there, they're praying and they're come to pay their respects to the spot that he was assassinated at. The assailant was hanging out at the bus stop area, right where behind where the bus is right now. From there to Prime Minister Abe was only about 15 meters. He came out, and in 8 meters he took his first shot, and then he moved up, and in 5 meters he took his second shot. So this is the small white tent that had the table with a small photo of Prime Minister Abe, and this is where people who brought flowers could offer them, say their prayers, give their respects and condolences, and pray for his soul. And there was a line that was probably about 100 meters, people patiently waiting with their flowers. And these are freshly cut and bought flowers. They are not cheap. And people were bringing them and offering them to the table for Prime Minister Abe. And it was a hot day, and yet people kept coming. And I'm assuming they came since July 8th, which was 10 days before, that they just kept coming. So you're talking hundreds, thousands, if you include Tokyo, maybe up to hundreds of thousands, maybe even 1 million people or more that had come to pay their respects to Prime Minister Abe. So after many people made their offering of flowers and prayed to the photo of Prime Minister Abe, they walk over to the space that he was killed. And there's no marking. It's just the space where he was killed within the white guardrails, which is about 50 square meters there. There's some coins that people have left. There's a little bit of incense that's left there. But again, people pray for the soul and for the spirit of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So this is the angle from the bus stop where the assailant was waiting. He was kind of loitering here. This is where he walked out to shoot Prime Minister Abe. But you can see how everything is very close. There's Yamato Saidaiji Station. This is a bird's eye view. You can see how everything is very close. Behind the bus stop is where the assailant was waiting. On the left side, you see the area that Prime Minister Abe was shot. It's not very far. It's only about 15 meters. So I made the pilgrimage. I came here to Yamato Saidaiji Station where Prime Minister Abe was killed. It's really sad. I didn't know what to expect when I came. When I got off the train, left the station, I could only see lines and lines of people coming, most of them carrying flowers to offer to Prime Minister Abe his soul, to pay their respects. You can see a small white tent here, and that's where people are leaving flowers and praying for the soul and paying their last respects to Prime Minister Abe. And what is happening is that there are so many flowers being left there that the staff have to pull the older flowers, which are not really old because they've just been laid there a few minutes before. They're boxing them up like huge boxes, and then they're being taken away. I am curious where they go. I hope they get renewed, or they get presented to someone else, or they have some use. It would be really sad if they just get discarded or stored in a closet somewhere until they die. So I hope they get used, but I thought it wasn't my place to ask. But if any of you out there know what happens to flowers like in a situation like this, please share the answer in the comments so other people besides myself will also know. I'm sure people are curious because there's so many flowers. You're talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people who have come. I don't know if not only here, but I'm sure in Tokyo also, at the temple, they must have something like this. So it's unimaginable that something like this could happen here. If you look around, it's just a quiet, nice little town or a city. It's actually a city, but there's no big crime or no big problems they have. And that for the assassination, the killing of Prime Minister Abe to happen here is, of course, it's a shock beyond belief for the nation, but also especially for a smaller city like Yamato Saidaiji. And the sad part is they will be marked, they will be branded for life as the location or the station that Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated, was killed, and which is really sad because it's not their fault at all. And of course, Nara Prefecture also will carry that with them. They are, known for Daibutsu, the big Buddha, and also the bowing deer of Nara. Now, one of the things that will be added to that list is the prefecture that Prime Minister Abe was assassinated at. So I feel bad for them. It's not their fault, and there's no reason that they should have to carry that brand, that mark. And I saw on the news, there were some Nara people when interviewed said they are completely ashamed and embarrassed. Well, one, it happened here, but more so, the assailant, the person who killed Prime Minister Abe, was from Nara, and he lived in Nara. But everybody felt like they knew him because, he was always nice and smiling, and you could tell he was very pleasant. You didn't see him getting mad or anything, so it wasn't like he had no problems. He did have a couple of scandals. There was some, in fact, one that was still ongoing until his death. I don't know what's going to happen to that after. But on the other hand, in all other areas, especially diplomacy, he was the best as far as from Japan. He was outgoing, he spoke some English, which was great. I heard he had done study abroad, ESL at USC, I think, for like 6 months. But he spoke some English, was sociable. He wasn't afraid to go out and meet people and talk and smile. We needed someone like him, a doer, and honestly, when he came back the second time, after his first time, after 1 year, retired or resigned. And the reason was he said exhaustion, right? In Japanese, it sounds really serious, but in English, people kind of laugh at the word exhaustion. So So he came back the second time. I had no expectations because I thought, yeah, after 1 year, the last time you had exhaustion and you quit. But he completely fooled me in the sense that I was completely wrong. He really was ready to come back as Prime Minister. And he was the longest serving Prime Minister in Japan, 8 years and 8 months. And he would have been longer if it wasn't for his health condition that forced him to quit. It's too bad that the coronavirus came, because I think his final legacy goal was for the Tokyo Olympics 2020 to happen, and that they would hit 40 million international visitors that year. And I believe that was what he was hoping would be kind of his final legacy, because probably he was planning to retire. No one really knew at that time, but I'm betting that he was thinking of retiring, because he did retire in September of 2020. After coming here, I felt, there was a lot of emotion. I could see the outpouring of love. I could see people crying, and people, of course, praying for Prime Minister Abe. Even when I prayed for him at the spot that he was killed, I felt my heart kind of stop a bit, and I teared up also. A sad day for Japan, and I don't know how they're going to fill his shoes. I don't know how they're going to replace him and who they're going to replace him with. That puts a lot of pressure on Prime Minister Kishida now, because former Prime Minister Abe was like Prime Minister Kishida's wingman, especially politically. He needed that support from Abe and the faction. Hard to say what's going to happen from now on and who's going to lead and manage the Abe faction, but it's a tragedy. It's sad. I'm sorry. I feel so bad for all the people of Japan, his family, his wife especially, his children. And so a lot of people must be feeling something similar deep inside, the loss of someone who really led Japan. And their admiration and their bringing of flowers and coming here on a hot day and praying and paying their respect demonstrates that. So thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Until next time. Arigato.